my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the start of Vlogmas week 5. This is the final week of Vlogmas, the final vlog that I'm doing for this year and for December, which is really exciting. By the way, if you want to check out all the other vlogs that I've done so far this month, I've been doing weekly reading vlogs every week for the entire month. I will link those up in the cards above. I have an entire playlist. So today I had originally planned on just staying home all day and reading as much as possible. And I actually have already gotten some reading done, and I'll get to a reading update in a minute. But you might see I have a shopping bag right here. I woke up and I saw that Barnes & Noble is doing a 50% off sale of all hardcovers. There are no exclusions, which is insane, but you have to go into the store to get the discount. So I decided to make a little trip over to my local Barnes & Noble. Luckily, it's only about like 5-10 minutes away. And I got some goodies that I'm very excited about. This is a very heavy bag. Oof. So let's just dive into the things that I got. Also, I only ended up paying about $40 for all of these books because not only was there the 50% off sale, but I also had a gift card that I got for Christmas for Barnes & Noble. So first things first, I will show you the one paperback I got. So there was no discount for this, but it's totally fine. This is The Redemption of Philip Fane from the Penhallow Dynasty by Lisa Byrne. So I had heard pretty good things about this book from my good friend Lisa from Remarkably Lisa. We run the Blushing Blue Stocking Society book club together, and she really enjoyed this. This is basically a Groundhog Day-esque historical romance. So when I saw that this was published in the mass market max size, I knew that I had to get it because I feel like I'm one of the only people who actually really likes this size of like the mass market paperbacks that they came out with. I want to say around 2020, 2021, something like that. It didn't last too long because obviously a lot of readers were unhappy with it. Basically, if you don't know, the mass market max size is a little bit larger than a regular mass market paperback size. I actually really like this size for paperbacks because they're very floppy. They're a lot easier to read than your normal mass market paperbacks. So whenever I see one of these in a bookstore and it's a book that I'm remotely interested in, I'm gonna buy it. This does not have the highest ratings on Goodreads. I will point that out. Lisa Byrne's books in general don't, but I just love the idea of like the Groundhog's Day-esque plot, and Lisa really enjoyed it, so I'm really hoping that I will as well. So let's get into the actual hardback. So I had to get a copy of Foul Lady Fortune. Look how shiny this cover is by Chloe Gong, because I have heard amazing things about this. This is book 1 and I think a duology. I'm not really sure, but I saw this cover for one thing and I was obsessed. And then I looked at the synopsis, and this takes place in 1931 in Shanghai. And from what I understand, this is about 2 spies who have to pretend to be married to each other for a mission. That sounds absolutely incredible. There were only 2 copies of this when I got to the store. Quite a few of the hardbacks were already cleared out, which is no surprise. So yeah, when I saw that there were a couple copies left, I definitely had to pick this up. I haven't read These Violent Delights, that duet by Chloe Gong. I probably will at some point because I've heard overall pretty positive things about that duet, but yeah. Next up, I got Rivals by Katharine McGee. This is book 3 in her American Royal series. This is basically a teen soap opera series that centers around the idea, what if the US was a monarchy instead of a democracy? And I really loved books 1 and 2 of this series. And at the time when those 2 books came out, this series was only supposed to be a duet or a duology. So when I saw that a 3rd book was coming out, I was very excited because I was not the biggest fan of how book 2 ended. So I'm glad that the series has continued on. Very excited for this for sure. Next up, I'm so excited that I snagged a copy of Lore Olympus Volume 3. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. When I was walking around the store, I went to the graphic novel section to see if they had this, and they only had a few copies of Volume 1. But then I was looking around the YA section actually, and there was like a random little end cap that had copies of this as well as volumes 2 and volume 1. Volume 4 I think is coming out, I think either March or May. Then, oh, I was very excited when I saw this. I got Gleanings, which is stories from the Arc of a Scythe. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition as well. I'm not sure what exactly is exclusive. I think this is a different cover. Like there's different colors on this cover versus the regular one. But this is stories from the Arc of a Scythe world. So the Arc of a Scythe is a YA dystopian utopian trilogy that I absolutely adore. And so I randomly saw a couple months ago that Neil Shusterman was coming out with, I guess, novellas that are set in this world. I don't know if this is set after the events of the trilogy or during or what, but I'm obsessed with this cover. Look how shiny that is. Then I have 2 books left that I'm very excited about. So I saw that they did have a hardcover copy of They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This is a book that blew up on Book Talk from what I understand, but I read this a couple years ago. Ooh, this is a collector's edition with a new original short story and author letter. Cool. But this is a story about 2 gay boys who come to meet each other and become really good friends and something more over the course of 24 hours because this is set in a futuristic world where you get a notification 24 hours before you are going to die. And so there is this like app or this program that if you are set to die that day, you can meet with someone else who is also set to die that same day. And so that's what happens. Just a beautiful, beautiful story. And I'm really excited to have a physical copy because I want to reread this soon. And that is because there is a prequel now. This came out fairly recently, maybe a few months ago, but yeah, this is a prequel to They Both Die at the End. It's called The First to Die at the End, and this is a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, so there is some exclusive content. This is a thick book, and I think this cover looks slightly different for this edition as well, but I'm very, very excited to have both of these in my personal library now. I definitely am gonna reread this at some point and then get to the prequel. So late last night, I read the entirety of Mistletoe Mistress by Nicola Davidson. So this is just a really fun Christmas historical romance novella. We have our main character, Rachel. I always love when there's a character that has the same name as me, and I found her to be very relatable as well, like personality wise. Rachel is on a stagecoach. She's currently on her way north away from London for a job. She works as a maid. And then we have Aaron, who is now a Marquis. His father recently passed away. So they both end up at this inn together. I think it's also a snowed in situation from what I remember. And so Rachel does not have the funds to get a room at this inn, and Aaron does have the funds, obviously, but the innkeeper tells him that they're only allowing married couples to stay at this inn because bachelors and single women bring trouble, basically. And so Rachel sees this conversation going down and she decides to pretend to be his wife. And so what ensues is just a really fun and sexy forced proximity, you know, fake marriage story. And what was so fun about this novella is that, okay, we know Nicola Davidson serves the steam. She serves the spice. That is what I love about her, is that she balances the erotic elements so well with the romantic elements. Rachel discovers over the course of her life that she enjoys being spanked. And so when she proposes to Aaron that they should sleep together, they both quickly realize that Aaron is definitely a dom and Rachel is definitely a sub, and they're just obsessed with each other. And like, oh boy, the sex scenes in this were immaculate. This was just such a fun time. I really liked how this ended, and yeah, definitely recommend it. I gave it 4 stars. So then earlier today I was looking at my Goodreads and I saw that I've read like 392 books so far this year. And so I was like, okay, maybe I can read 8 books this week and get to an even 400 books. But then upon further reflection, I realized that I've already read 400 books this year, because back in November, I was reading a lot of fanfics for the fanfiction readathon, but none of those fanfics are on Goodreads. So the number of books that I've read on Goodreads isn't accurate. So I've already read over 400 books. So it was just really funny because I was kind of stressing myself out. Not really stressing myself out, but just like trying to come up with like a lot of quick books that I could read before the end of the week. And so one of them was I'll Never Be Your Crown Princess Volume 1. I recently was gifted this from my mom for my birthday. So thank you so much, Mom. I was influenced to read this by Madison from Princess Paperbacks, and I know that Jen from the Book Refuge also really enjoyed this first volume. So this is an adult fantasy romance manga series. So we have our heroine here, Lydiana, and then we have our hero here, who is Friedrich. What's really interesting is that at the very beginning of this volume, we learn that Liddy has memories of her past life where she lived in what sounds like modern day Japan, and now she lives in this fantastical kingdom that feels a lot like Germany, but there is magic and all kinds of things like that. One of the things that made me kind of chuckle to myself while reading this whole volume is that, like I said, the heroine's name is Lydiana, but she goes by Liddy most of the time. And have you guys read Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin? Definitely let me know in the comments if you have and if you get this joke. But in that book, the main character made up this song about a woman called Liddy, and the song was called Big Titty Liddy. So anytime I read the name Liddy in this manga, I'm just like dying to myself. So stupid, but definitely let me know if you get the joke. She is the prime minister's daughter, and her father is trying to set her up to get married to Friedrich, the crown prince of this kingdom. But Liddy doesn't want to marry him because in this kingdom, polygamy is accepted amongst royals. So she doesn't want to be one of many wives, or just, you know, being his wife and then him having like a million concubines or something like that. And so she knows that you can't marry the crown prince if you're not a virgin. So she decides to go to this masquerade ball to find someone to take her virginity. And so she has some fun times with this beautiful, mysterious looking man. They're of course both wearing masks. Lo and behold, that man was actually Friedrich in disguise. So oopsie. But this was so much fun. I really love the art style. Really, really beautiful artwork for sure. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. Definitely steamy. It is for older teens, 17 and over. You should know that things, you know, do get kind of graphic, though there are some things that are censored. I have read some manga where absolutely nothing is censored, like Fire in His Fingertips, but there is some censoring going on in this. Volume 2 is already out, so I went ahead and bought that off of Amazon because I had some Amazon gift cards to spend. So yeah, just very excited to see what direction this ends up going in. But after reading this, I was just reminded that I need to be reading more fantasy romance. So I'm definitely planning on making that happen in the near future. So that is gonna be it for tonight's update, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Definitely need to wash my hair tomorrow. Oops. Hello, it's Wednesday, my dudes, and I'm wearing one of my favorite romance novel shirts from Fugly Barbie. I feel like I shout them all out all the time in my vlogs because I'm just obsessed with their merch. And Fugly Barbie, please reach out to me. I would love to be sponsored by you. But before we get into a reading update, I didn't feel like doing an update yesterday because I feel like I didn't have anything to really update you guys about, but I have a couple of Christmas gifts that I got yesterday because my older sister and her husband came into town, and so we had lunch with them at my mom's house. And so my sister gave me a couple of fun things. She gave me this limited edition lip duo by Number 7. I'm kind of familiar with this brand, but I've never actually tried them out. So it looks like we get a lipstick and a lip glaze. Ooh, let's look at this shade. Oh yeah, she told me it's glitter lipstick. You won't be able to really tell, but it's like, there's like legit glitter in this lipstick. Oh my God, I cannot wait to use this. Then she also got me something special from Cane's. If you are familiar with the restaurant Raising Cane's, you know, the fast food chain, every year for Christmas, they come out with these different stuffed animals because their mascot is a yellow lab named Cane, right? Like Raising Cane's. And so, oh, it has a little bell on it, but this year, like every Christmas, they have like a different Christmas movie that's like their theme. And so this year it was Christmas Vacation. And so this is the Clark Griswold limited edition 2022 plush puppy. Look how cute he is. So I have some books to show you guys. I have the stack right here. So basically I got a lot of Amazon gift cards for my birthday and Christmas. And so I spent them and I'm very happy. So I have some volumes of manga here as well as some romance novels. So first up, I have the first volume of Given. So this is a BL manga, or a boys love manga. So there's MM romances in this. And from what I understand, this just follows the members of this band called Given. We have a hot-headed guitarist, playboy drummer, gentle bassist, and a singer gifted with great talent and burdened by past tragedy. Their struggles and conflicts may drive them apart, but their bond to the music and to one another always brings them back together again. So I've heard amazing things about this series, and I love the aesthetic of the covers. So I'm very excited. Then I bought myself volumes 3 and 4 of Imakoi, which is absolutely my top favorite YA romance or shoujo manga series. Volume 4 just came out a couple of weeks ago, so I've not read this one yet, but I have read the first 3 volumes, and I low-key want to reread the first 3 volumes and then jump into this one. But I'm just obsessed with Satomi and Yagyu. They are just the sweetest. Like, look at the back of these covers. Look how sweet and adorable they are. I just can't. And then I got the next bind up. I needed a Full Metal Alchemist. These are the 3-in-1 editions. So this is volumes 16, 17, and 18. I have read up to volume 9, so I need to get going with volume 10 going forward. There are 27 volumes total in this series, and so anytime I see that these 3-in-1 bind-ups are available, because sometimes they're kind of scarce, like some of the volumes in particular are only in stock like every now and then. So when I see that one is in stock, I just go ahead and buy it. So I'm so excited. I love the Elric brothers with my heart and soul, and the anime for this series is absolutely spectacular. Then I decided to get some steamy romance mangas, and you know, they're steamy because they're all wrapped. So I got volume 2 of I'll Never Be Your Crown Princess. You guys know I read volume 1 a couple days ago and really enjoyed it. I haven't heard the most amazing things about volume 2. Like, I've heard that it's a bit boring, but whatever, I'm excited. But I'm still excited to read this. And then I got volumes 1 and 2 of Game Between the Suits. And then I'll show you the back of these. I'll actually show you the back of this one. Doesn't really have much going on except for the blue roses, but then this is volume 2, Game Between the Suits. So this is an office romance. So at the very beginning of volume 1, we have our heroine here who she breaks up with her current boyfriend, or her current boyfriend breaks up with her because she takes work calls while they're having sex. Like, clearly she is very easily distracted by work. And so then she meets this dude here who I think works at the same company that she works at. And so, yeah, I've heard really good things about volume 1. Haven't heard anything about volume 2. This one came out very recently, but I'm excited to be reading some steamy romance manga for sure. And then I caved and I bought all 3 books in the Kings of Italy series by Mila Fanelli. If you watched last week's vlog, you will know that I read Mafia Madman, which is book 3, and I absolutely loved it. And so I had to just get physical copies of all 3 of these books. So we have book 1, which is Mafia Mistress, and then Mafia Darling. So these 2 books are about Fausto and Francesca. This is a mafia romance series that takes place in Italy, and it's just bonkers and fun and sexy as hell. And then this one is about Gia and Enzo. Book 4, Mafia Target, is coming out in March. Very excited for that one because that's going to be about Alessio and Giulio. It's going to be an MM romance where Alessio has been paid to kill Giulio. I've been reading some straight up meh books lately. The 2 books that I have to talk to you guys about were not great. So first up we have, so this is Christmas by Jenny Holiday. This is book 3 in a royalty Christmas romance series. And so this one was about Matteo, who is like the king's right-hand man, the king of Eldovia, this fictional kingdom. And so then we have Kara, who works for this like consulting firm, and she is brought into Eldovia because most of Eldovia's economy depends on Morneau, which is this luxury watch company. The company's not doing well, so that's why they bring in Kara. And so it's the romance between Kara and Matteo. This was just fine. I probably would have given this 4 stars, but then the last 25% or so got pretty boring for me. I felt like this book and the romance kind of stretched on a little bit too long. I was also disappointed because I definitely expect more from Jenny Holiday in terms of her steamy scenes. I was actually very impressed with Princess for Christmas and Duke Actually, which are the first 2 books in this series, because I went into those books not expecting much spice at all, and there were some really great scenes in both of those books. And then in this book, the scenes were just straight up boring. And then I've also been working on Midnight Rider by Kat Martin, because tonight was the live show for the Historical Hellions book club, which is run by Samantha and Jess. So I was a guest host for that. So I had to read the book, right? And so I was kind of scrambling to read this book on time, and I did end up DNFing this at the 72% mark, just because this book was fine, but it wasn't sparking joy, you know? And I probably should have DNF'd So This Is Christmas as well. But yeah, you know, life is too short to waste your time on books that you're not truly enjoying, you know? So this is an old school historical romance. I believe this was published around like 1996, something like that. And this has to do with Carly, our heroine, who has been brought to California where this takes place. This is a Western romance. She's living with her uncle, and then there's this man, Ramon, who owns the land next to her uncle's. So this becomes a captor-captive situation. Basically, Ramon is known as El Dragon, who is the leader of like this rebel group. They're kind of like Robin Hood. They basically steal from the rich white people in their area that stole their land. Like a heist that they're doing goes wrong because they're stealing from Carly's uncle. Carly sees this happen, and so she rings a bell that's on their land to alert her uncle and the men that work there. This happens at the very beginning. It's not a spoiler, but Ramon's brother ends up dying because of that whole fight scuffle. And so he's very pissed off and he blames Carly basically for his brother's death. And so he kidnaps her. He literally like gallops on his horse to her, picks her up and slings her over his horse and just runs off with her. And so things go on from there. This was certainly entertaining at points. Like, I was here for the drama and the tea for sure. I was not here for the romance because Ramon, like, I don't know, I kind of hated him more and more as the book went along. There were things that he would say to Carly that were just very misogynistic, and like, yeah, it was just, the romance was not it. There were some very weird scenes in this as well. And so yeah, at the point where I put this down, I was just like, why am I even reading this anymore? Because at that point, like, the drama wasn't even that good anymore. I did start the audiobook this afternoon for Echoes of Time by Talia Reid. This is book 3 in her Surviving Time series. Book 1 is The Surviving Trace, which is, I don't know, kind of popular on Romance BookTube, I think, but I haven't heard anyone really talk about like books 2 and then this is book 3 of the series really, so I'm just intrigued. Book 2 had a very interesting cliffhanger, and then like I said, I'm like an hour into this, so I'm probably not even 50 pages into this copy, but I love the covers for this series. Basically, the plot of book 1 is that we have our main character, Serene, I believe, who's pictured here. And she's from present day, but she ends up time traveling back to 1912 and falling in love with Etienne, who is from the past. And so it's just a lot of her time traveling back and forth because of different circumstances. And yeah, so very intrigued to see how this trilogy is going to end. I have heard good things from Christy Reads a Lot. She said that she really enjoyed this final book, so very excited. So that's gonna be it for this update. All right, hey guys, today is Friday. I really haven't had much going on the past couple of days, which is why I didn't do an update last night. I'm in my filming setup, as you can tell, and I have makeup on and I'm dolled up because I'm getting ready to film a couple of videos. I for sure need to film my January TBR and my top 10 historical romances that I read in 2022. Very excited about both of those videos for sure. If you guys aren't familiar with how I do my end of the year content, I started doing this, I think last year, where I basically separate my favorite books of the year into separate categories. So this year I'm doing my top 10 books and manga of the year. So it's gonna be all like non-romance books. There will be some romance manga in that video, but for the most part, non-romance books. Then I do a top 10 historical romances of the year, top 10 contemporary / paranormal or fantasy romances of the year, and then top 10 novellas. So yeah, I'm gonna film the historical romances for sure tonight, and I might squeeze in my top 10 contemporary romances. I'm not sure because my brain might be fried after filming my TBR and the historical romances video, so we'll just see how I feel. But I did want to go ahead and give you guys an update. Oh, I actually got some books in the mail. So somebody was a little sneaky sneakster and they bought me Nobody's Duke by Scarlett Scott off of my Amazon wish list. I have not read the note yet, so I do not know who this is from. I wanted to read this on camera. Rachel, thank you for being the sweetest friend ever. I am so thankful to have you in my life. You made 2022 so special. Happy New Year from Avery! Oh my God, Avery! Thank you so much, Avery. I'm gonna have to message her when I'm done filming. Oh my God. I actually read this book because of Ava's recommendation, and we actually started buddy reading the rest of the books in this series, and that has just been so much fun. This series will always mean so much to me because of Ava. And by the way, this is book 1 in the League of Dukes series. You have to read this book if you have read and loved Again the Magic by Lisa Kleypas. There are definitely similar vibes to this. So yes, so excited to have this in my collection. And then I did also buy a couple other books for myself. I decided to go get a hardcover of The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. If you don't know, this is my top favorite historical romance of all time. I wanted to get a hardcover because, first of all, it's very unusual that historical romances are published in this format. And second of all, I wanted a copy like this that I could fully tab and annotate. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't love tabbing up paperback books, I prefer to tab up hardcovers, because with hardcovers, you know, you have like where the page ends and then where like the cover ends, like there's a little bit of space between the two. So I like to put tabs so that when I'm shelving my hardcovers, the tabs don't get like smushed or bent or anything. Did that even make sense? I don't even know. But yeah, I'm planning on rereading this again. I don't know, maybe at some point this year, and then I will fully annotate this copy, and I'm very, very excited. And then I went ahead and bought myself a copy of Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. This is book 2 in her Last Hours trilogy, which is the spin-off series to the Infernal Devices, which is another series within the Shadowhunter Chronicles universe, in case you don't know. I read book 1 of this series, Chain of Gold, like 2020 when it came out, and then I decided to wait on the rest of the series until the final book came out. So the final book is coming out next month in January. So yeah, I just decided to go ahead and pick up a copy of book 2, and then I've pre-ordered a copy of book 3. So there's that. Let me get organized here and give you guys a reading update. So I did go ahead and finish Echoes of Time late last night. I ended up giving this 4 stars. This is the 3rd and final book in the Surviving Time series, but Kalia Reed has written other books in this world, in this universe. I think she's done maybe spin-off series, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this was solid. I will say, you know, book 2 was kind of fine for me. I did also give that book 4 stars, but I appreciated that this book had more like interesting plot twists and turns, and I really appreciated that the hero and heroine, Etienne and Serene, weren't separated in this book like they were definitely in book 2, and yeah, there were definitely points in book 1 where they were separated as well. So yeah, this was good. I will say I have a gripe with this series, and this is why I don't think I'm ever gonna read anything else from this series, or maybe even from this author ever again, is that this is a series that takes place both in present day and in 1912 in Charleston. And in 1912, Etienne's family lives in Belgrave, which is this huge plantation. But what's odd to me is that Kalia Reed completely like ignores the fact that there definitely would have been slaves on this property. Like, different characters will talk about how beautiful the mansion is and the history and like how beautiful the grounds are and how they're not doing so well financially because it's no longer a running plantation, but she never gives commentary on like the negative aspects of that history, you know? It's just kind of ignored and glossed over, and I find that very weird. So I am currently a little more than halfway through Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa. This is going to be my last book of 2022, which is very exciting, and this is also the last book that I have to read for my 10 books that I needed to read before the end of the year. So that's also very exciting that I got through all 10 of those books. So this is a fantasy romance, and what's also interesting is that going into this, I just assumed that this was going to be a high fantasy, but it's actually more of an urban fantasy because we have Callie, or Calypso. She is a siren, but she lives in the mortal human world. And then our hero is known as the Bargainer, and he is also the king of the Night Court of the Fae. And so when Callie, or Calypso, was about 16, she made her first bargain with the Bargainer. And so what happens is that with each bargain that she makes, he has created this like bracelet that like snakes up her entire arm, and she gets like a new bead put on the bracelet for each favor that she asks from him. And so then we see Callie in present day when she's about 24, I believe, and she has like over 300 beads on this bracelet, which is absolutely insane. And what's also crazy is that the Bargainer has never come to collect payment from these favors that he's given her. With anyone else that he bargains with, he pretty much immediately will collect payment from them. And so yeah, we're seeing a lot of time jumping from when she was 16, around the time when she made that first bargain with him, and present day when she has over 300 beads on this bracelet, and now he basically needs her help. There's something really, really weird going on in the Fae realm. And first thing I have to point out is, oh my God, this has so many vibes of ACOMAF, specifically A Court of Mist and Fury, book 2 in the ACOTAR series. The Bargainer definitely gives me Rhysand vibes, and Calypso definitely gives me Feyre vibes. But what's interesting is that Calypso is a siren, and so she does have this ability to make people do her bidding just by simply commanding them to do so. And so it's really interesting to see like her powers come toe to toe with his powers. And also the Bargainer, he wears like all black all the time, and he has bat-like wings. And also just their dynamic of these bargains gives me vibes of Feyre and Rhysand because of how she ends up making a couple of deals with Rhys towards the end of ACOTAR book 1. And then of course that goes into ACOMAF. And so yeah, I'm having a good time. I feel like, you know, this does have similar vibes to ACOMAF, but it's not too similar. It still feels like its own unique story, just how this world works, how the Fey realm itself works, how the Night Court is, and like this weird mystery that's going on that Callie is trying to help the Bargainer with. Also, we have some really great touch her and you die vibes, you know? So I'm having a good time with this. It does kind of have the potential of being maybe a 5-star read. I do recommend the audiobook. I think the narrator's doing a really good job, but the audiobooks are only available through Audible. So if you have some credits to use, I would recommend these audiobooks for sure. I do wish that we would get the Bargainer's POV, but similar to ACOMAF, you know, how we only get Feyre's POV, I guess it makes sense, but I'm someone that loves a dual POV romance novel. I'm also a little bit more than halfway through watching It's a Wonderful Life, and I realized last night that I've actually never sat down and watched the whole movie straight through. I've watched like huge chunks of it when it comes on TV, but yeah, this is my very first time like actually watching the movie all the way through, and this is absolutely one of my favorite movies of all time, and I know I'm gonna cry like a little baby at the end, and I'm ready for that. So yeah, I need to get some filming done first, so I will talk to you guys later. Well, happy New Year's Eve, everyone. You will probably be able to hear that people are setting off fireworks. They have been setting off fireworks pretty much all day in my area, like at least since like 3 p.m. today, so oof. But I have something very exciting that I got in the mail today. Oh my God. I got the first box set that they are releasing for Sweat and Soap. And if you don't know, this is absolutely my top favorite manga series of all time. I don't think that anything will ever top it. My love for this series knows no bounds. So let me show you all the different artwork. This is actually the artwork from volume 3. And then I'm not sure what volume this artwork is from. And then the top of it just says Sweat and Soap. So this is a box set of the first 6 volumes of the series. This box set was just released, I believe, last week or the week before. So I had pre-ordered this from Book Depository because Book Depository had a pretty good price. So, oh my God, I'm so excited. A very basic synopsis. I will be talking about this, spoiler alert, in my top 10 books and manga video that I will be filming probably tomorrow. But this is about Asako and Notori. It's an office romance. They both work for this soap company, and Asako is very self-conscious about her scent, like the way that she smells, because she sweats a lot. So she's always worried that she's gonna have BO. And then we have Notori, who works in like the creative department for the company. She works in the financial department. And so one day he meets her and he is just obsessed with the way that she smells. Yes, it has a very, very weird premise. I will be the first one to admit that. But this is literally one of the most adorable and sweet romances ever. And I adore how openly these two communicate with each other and how they overcome obstacles that may come in their way. And like, oh my God, I'm so excited. So I have read volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm hoping to read volume 5 soon, but this is a series that I'm definitely savoring because there's only 11 volumes total, and that makes me very sad. What's really interesting about this box set is that it came with 2 sheets of scented stickers, and one of the scents I can tell you right now I'm not a fan of, but luckily these are not the most like obnoxiously scented stickers. So we have these stickers, which they're adorable. These are Asako and Notori's friends, and then this is the 2 of them. And so, you know, as you can see, there's a lot of food on these stickers. And so these stickers straight up smell like a very salty soup or stew of some kind. It's not very pleasant to my nose, so I'm gonna put that down. But I'm hoping that as I let these stickers sit out, the scent will eventually go away. But these stickers, which have our main couple here and then the main logo of the series, I like this scent. It's like an herbal soap kind of scent. I'm assuming that this is an interpretation of what Asako smells like, what her scent is. Reading update, I did finish Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa earlier today, and I gave this 5 stars. I don't really have much more to say other than what I told you guys in last night's update. This romance has spanned several years, like almost a decade, so in that way it has like a very epic feel to it, and I'm just really interested to see what's gonna happen in books 2 and 3, and there is a novella thrown in there somewhere. I need to figure out if I actually need to read that novella or what, but I definitely will continue on at some point in the future. So going forward, it's 8:30 right now. I'm planning on reading volume 3 of Saga because I'm pretty sure I'm going to feature Saga in my top 10 books and manga. So once again, my non-romance books of the year. But I want to read one more volume before I'm absolutely sure, because I've only read 2 volumes of the series so far. And as much as I'm pretty sure I love this series, I want to read one more volume to kind of solidify my thoughts. And solidify its spot in my top 10 ranking, because I do several favorites videos for the end of the year, and each of them are ranked from number 10 to number 1. Tonight, I'm definitely going to edit my January TBR, because I realized that I want to get that posted tomorrow, just so it kind of fits into my upload schedule. So yeah. Next time you see me, it will officially be 2023. All right, happy new year, everyone. Need to take those glasses off because they're very reflective with my ring light. So yeah, it is January 1st. It's Sunday, which means it is the very last day for Vlogmas week 5 and for Vlogmas 2022 in general. It's crazy that I have been vlogging throughout the entire month of December, and it always feels like it goes by really quickly, but at the same time, you know, putting out weekly reading vlogs every week is a lot of work on top of the other videos that I regularly make. So yes, I'm gonna be happy not to have to vlog for a while, but I always have a good time making these Vlogmas vlogs for you all, so I hope that you've been enjoying them. I do want to do a quick reading update before I close this vlog out. I have 2 videos to film tonight. After I close this out, I need to film my top 10 books of the year, and then I'm also filming my top 10 contemporary and paranormal romances, so basically romances that are not historical romances. So late last night, I decided that I wanted my first read of 2023 to be a 5-star, to be a home run, because the last couple of years I have started off the year with like a 3-star read, and that is not the vibe that I want going into 2023. So I read volume 3 of Saga, which, if you don't know, this is an epic science fiction comic book series, and I gave this 5 stars. I feel like this series absolutely gets better and better with every volume that I read. I'm loving this series so much that I actually just bought myself a box set of the first 9 volumes. Volume 10 did recently come out a couple of months ago, so I'll get a copy of that soon as well. But I'm just obsessed with the story because at the center of this epic science fiction story is a romance between Alana and Marco, who are people from essentially different species, I guess. And these two species are at war with each other. And so at the very beginning of volume 1, we learn that they got married and they had a baby together, and that is like the biggest no-no ever. And so multiple people are now after them, trying to kill them and take their child away from them. And one of the things I love about this series so much is that we are following, I would say like 4 or 5 maybe different perspectives. And every time it changes perspective, like I'm equally invested in each one. It's not like I only want to follow Marco and Alana. Like these other perspectives and POVs are just as interesting, and you can't help but just stay on the edge of your seat because it's just paced so well and there's action and just a wonderful romance. I adore Marco and Alana with my whole heart. Marco is a very swoony hero, so if for nothing else, you guys need to be checking out this comic series just for him and the romance, because it's pretty great in my opinion. And then I decided to go into Come to Daddy by Brianna Hale. This is book 1 in a romance duet. And I had heard Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers rave about book 2 specifically like over a year ago at this point. I remember just kind of coming across her Goodreads review and she was just raving and raving about book 2, but she did say that you need to read book 1, and I'm about 52% into this, and I do agree that you probably should read this book first because we're getting a lot of background and context about the hero for book 2, because basically this duet centers around these 2 brothers. And so this is a sugar baby romance, which I haven't read too many of those, but I do enjoy the trope. And so we have our heroine Sierra. She owes a lot of money to Damir, who is the brother to Misha, the hero of this book. And so Damir is going to be the hero of book 2, and he is like a psycho. Like he is unhinged and deranged, and like, oh my god, I cannot wait to read his book because I have a feeling I'm gonna love it just as much as Lacey does. But yeah, Sierra owes a lot of money to Damir, and so Misha, our hero, learns about this and he decides that he wants to help her out with paying Damir back, and the easiest and quickest way to do that is to become her sugar daddy and to give her an exorbitant allowance so that she can pay Damir back. And so then his like personal assistant, Bethany, I think her name is, she persuades Sierra to go on a sugar baby website, you know, make a profile, all of that, and then that's how Misha and Sierra meet. So I'm really enjoying this so far. It's, you know, a billionaire sugar daddy romance, and it's just a good time. We've had some good steamy scenes so far. I've been listening to Alexa read the book to me at 2 times speed because that's the quickest that you can have Alexa read to you. And I sped through the first half. So I'll probably finish this tonight. And then I don't know if I'll immediately jump into Lap of Luxury, which is book 2, because I want to start Cruel Prince very soon because we have our first live show for the read along on Saturday, so we will just have to see. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this week's vlog as well as Vlogmas as a whole. I would love it if you would leave a comment down below if you want to discuss any of the books that I brought up in this video, or if you want to give me recommendations, anything like that. I always appreciate you guys leaving comments and having discussions with me. So with all that being said, I would love it if you would leave a like and subscribe, and I thank you so much in advance if you do, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!